Hey everyone, welcome back to Walt and Sarah's channel. Today we're going to be making a wristlet keychain without using any fancy equipment. Let's get started here. We're going to use some fake leather, these little special pliers that have the rubber on them, the hardware, some glitter, HTV, and then whatever you need to use for cutting. The first step is to cut down our HTV. So what I'm doing here is cutting it approximately 1 inch, just a little bit bigger than 1 inch, because I want to accommodate any type of shrinking that may occur once that heat hits it. You don't necessarily need one of these paper cutters. You could use a ruler and draw a straight line on the back and then just cut it. I personally am terrible at cutting straight lines, so using the paper cutter definitely does help me out. And when I'm using the smart vinyl, it doesn't entirely fit in that paper cutter. But when you're using the standard Cricut HTV, it does fit because it's a little bit shorter than the 12 inches. I think it's approximately around, well, I'll say about 10 inches. Next, we're going to preheat our fake leather, and then we're going to apply the HTV just as we would if we were putting it onto a shirt, a bag, or some kind of other textile. And I am just following the Cricut heat guide right off of their website. I always lay down some kind of parchment or butcher paper just to protect my heat press. I know you really don't have to when you're using vinyl, but I like to have that extra barrier protection. I'm just running this through the whole thing to make sure I covered from edge to edge. And then once it cooled down, I removed the clear coating to expose that beautiful sparkly purple. Now my heat press is off and unplugged, but it is still hot. So all I'm doing is just pressing it one more time. Now this paper cutter is about half the size of the other one, which means my entire strip will not fit in it. So I'm gonna have to fold it in half. Of course, the little tiny blade on the paper cutter is not gonna be strong enough to cut 4 layers of material. Not a big deal. I'm just going to have to be super careful and flip it around and cut it a few times and run that blade through it until it does slice and dice. Just a reminder, our finished strip will be 1 inch by 11 inches. So when folded in half, it is approximately 5.5 by 1. Right now I'm just trimming off any extra that is on the side. Sometimes I have the vinyl that I made too much of, and sometimes I have the fake leather that hangs over the edges. So whatever is there, you want to get a pair of good scissors and trim that down. Be very careful not to trim too much of the vinyl or too much of the fake leather, because that's how you're going to get it where it's uneven. And you really want nice straight lines for this. Applying the hardware can be a little tricky at first. I think it took me about 2 wristlets to finally figure out how to hold it in place and just gently start pressing down until the pliers are able to hold the wristlet in place and you can move your fingers. Be very careful. If you're really struggling with getting it in place and pressing down at the same time, you can either ask somebody to hold it there or use a piece of tape. But really, that's it, guys. What was that? 3 steps. So simple, so beautiful. This is awesome. I'm obsessed with making these. I've already made 4 in the last 24 hours with different designs and different colors. These are so awesome, and they really do hold up, especially on the kids' book bags. They last. So let me know what you guys think.